Congressman, good to see you.
It's great to see you too, man. And I just want to say, as we're going into Christmas and Hanukkah, that I hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah, wherever you happen to be.
Well, I happen to be celebrating Christmas, but thank you for covering all your bases. It's very politically correct of you.
Well,
Not something
listen,
I expect of Derrick Van Orden, though. I gotta be.
well, listen, I've got a whole bunch of Jewish American friends and
I'm
friends
sure you.
in
No,
Israel.
I'm. Listen, come on. You SEALs are so soft. It's unbelievable. First, I got to say this. I've been. I've gotten to know, because I live here in Virginia, John
Mhm.
McGuire. It's kind of
Yep.
cool to see a little more Navy and a lot more SEAL coming into the House.
Well, so there were 5 SEALs in Congress, and my joke was that means there's 4 too many of us. But John and I are friends, and he's a very, very welcome addition because
And then you got
John
Tim Sheehy on the other side.
That's right. Yeah, you know what? I think he's going to regret being over there because that's the snooze factory on the other side of the Capitol there. I think he's
So
going to
let me
want to
just
come
kind
over.
of let's dig into this. Tell me what you think of the state of the military today.
I think it's abysmal.
Okay.
I was just, we voted on the NDAA, and there's a lot of provisions in there to try to reverse what Biden has done to our military over the last 4 years. The morale is horrible, historically low recruiting. Our material readiness for naval vessels, as you being a naval officer, you'd understand this, nerd, has been, it's terrible. The readiness of the force is not at a state where it needs to be to protect ourselves and our allies and project peace through strength.
You know, it's funny because it's actually not funny, but when you realize we are well under 300 ships in our Navy, China far surpassing us. I just don't know that most Americans are aware of the current state of the Navy in particular, because China being the threat, the next war isn't a land war. What was that line from The Princess Bride? You never want to get into a land war in Asia.
In Asia, that's correct.
So I feel like if people really understood the state of our Navy, they might be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah, they should be. And I'm really kind of torn right now because we truly do have to understand that we need to look at how the military is designed. And we have to have a significant amount of naval vessels, a lot to transport goods and to project sea power. One of the things we do need to focus on, though, on a bigger scale is hypersonic missile defense, because things have changed where you can right now sink a naval vessel, a capital ship, as they used to be called, the battleships, with a single missile that we truly have no defense against. So I encourage us to continue to develop hypersonic missile capabilities, but we also have to start investing a lot of money in defense for these things. And we also have to make sure that the things that you can't sink, meaning islands like Guam, is really, really ready and prepared to help defend against something and be viable throughout a global conflagration against peer-to-peer enemies.
Just, you might want to remind your colleague Hank Johnson from Georgia. He was concerned that Guam could tip at one point. So reassure him that a missile won't do that. That might be.
I will. Yes, Hank was concerned that if you put too many Marines on Guam, that it could invert.
And, it would tip. But let me get back to the state of where we are. Admiral Sam Pompera. Oh my gosh, he's going to kill me for not saying his name right. He's our commander of the Indo-Pacific Command out there, right? The 7th Fleet area, everything that deals with China, whatever. This is what he said, that he expressed concerns that American forces in the Pacific could be impacted due to weapons like the Patriot missiles being shipped overseas, pointing particular to threats from China, meaning we have shipped all of these things, sending things to Ukraine, to the Middle East, that we don't have the weaponry that we need. And the dirty little secret is we can't resupply it quick enough.
That's correct. And unfortunately, the Biden administration has not been able to see the forest for the trees. They simply have, they don't understand that you need to have a defense industry that is incredibly robust and resilient, and that it takes time to produce Patriot missiles and Stinger missiles and HIMARS and ships and tanks and MRAPs. And they just don't seem to be grounded in reality. And man, you could take that everything from economic policy to what we're discussing is defense policy. So if you give away all of your vital equipment or a significant amount of your vital equipment, you're not going to be able to protect yourself. Now we have the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean, obviously, so we've got a buffer. But when you're talking about projecting power forward and making sure that the fight is in the enemy's backyard and not yours, the Biden administration has acted in an incredibly foolish manner. And we also have to understand that Biden pulled off nearly a foreign policy miracle. He united China, North Korea, and Russia, and Iran, all four of them. They're like, we're working together. So Joe Biden's responsible for the four horsemen of the apocalypse getting together and having a beer.
You mentioned recruitment and readiness. We talked just now about ships, and we talked about weaponry. Let's talk about the state of our sailors. There is, the Navy used to have 2 physical readiness tests a year. We went down to 1. There's a big concern about a lot of people not making the physical constraints required of members of the armed forces. You see a lot of waivers being granted. Is that something that your colleagues are aware of and are concerned by?
Yes. So the first Special Operations Forces truth is humans are more important than hardware. So we have to invest in our troops. You know who's not having a real big issue with recruiting? The Marine Corps. You know why the Marine Corps is not having such a tremendous issue with recruiting? It's because they haven't changed their standards. Yeah. They've kept them the same. When young men and women, remember we're talking about 18 and 19-year-old folks, they don't want to have all this strange extemporaneous issues to deal with. They don't want to join the military because they think it's a social change platform. They want to join the military to defend their country. They want to join the military so that they can have a good job. They want to join the military so they can have health care. And it's not something that's being given to them. These young men and women are willing to go out and potentially sacrifice their life for this job and for these benefits. And in the NDAA that just got passed, we have the highest targeted pay raise in the military for a very long period of time. It's like 17.5%.
I know. I saw that. That's unreal.
And you know what? Here, let me tell you something, man. It should have been like 25%, but Joe Biden,
but it's for the lower enlisted guys, right?
Where it belongs. And
yeah.
It's like 4% as you go up the ranks, right? But I want people to understand this. Joe Biden managed to become a multi-millionaire as with a bunch of members of his families on a public servant's salary. And he was instrumental in moving the pay raise from 25% to 17.5% for the young people that are willing to sacrifice their lives for him. I don't want anyone to ever forget that.
So in other words, his budget had less of an increase than you guys did?
That's absolutely correct.
And we're talking the E1s, E2s, E3s that are making, 25, 30 grand.
About $20,000, yeah.
Jeez. And so
let me put that into context, Sean, because some people don't understand this. We've got this pretty sweet convenience store chain that's headquartered in my district, shameless plug, called Quick Trip. And an 18-year-old can go to Quick Trip right now and get a job at Quick Trip making more money with equivalent or sometimes better benefits than a member of the United States military can. You can quit anytime you want. If you don't like your boss, you can say, I don't like you. And no one's shooting at you. You don't have to leave your home for months at a time. And that's terrible. I mean, I'm not saying it's not great to work at Quick Trip. What I'm saying is, if you look at the disparity of the expected responsibilities and potential consequences of your chosen vocation, I think that people who are in the military should maybe have a little preference over people that are working at, grocery stores with a gas station attached to them.
Yeah, well, recognize the sacrifice. I mean, with all due respect, I think you'd agree there's no sacrifice working at Quick Trip, getting sent around the world to fight. There is. Congressman, I really appreciate your service, your sacrifice, and your time today. Thank you for being here.
You are welcome, Sean. And again, God bless you and your family. Merry Christmas or Happy
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you and the whole Van Orden family. Thank you.
All right, be cool.
All right, guys, what a great conversation with Derrick Van Orden. By the way, if you're interested in supporting, I'm on the board of the Yellow Ribbon Fund. If you're interested in supporting the work of the Yellow Ribbon Fund, which takes care of our caregivers to our wounded service members so that when they go get care at a place like Walter Reed, they're not funded to bring a caregiver with them, a wife, a spouse, a caregiver. Yellow Ribbon takes care of all that. The transportation, the housing, all of those needs are met so they can focus on our wounded soldiers and sailors and Marines getting the care they need. Great, great work. Over 90% goes to the foundation. If you want to go to SeanSpicer.com/yellow ribbon, SeanSpicer.com
YouTube.com/yellow ribbon. All right, next week, what a week we have lined up. Tom Homan tomorrow, Victor Davis Hanson, Mike Huckabee, Mick Mulvaney with an amazing discussion about our debt and deficit. You're not going to want to miss this. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here on the Sean Spicer Show.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.